Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ben Kenobi, Old Ben. Fans have theorized why Obi-Wan sometimes goes by the name Ben, and there are several Star Wars theories. What is the secret of this name? This is my contribution to the Obi-Wan Kenobi Star Wars theories discussion. In 1977, Star Wars: A New Hope introduced us to this character, calling him Ben Kenobi, a hermit who lived in Tatooine, who turned out to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, a Jedi and former master of Anakin Skywalker, who became Darth Vader. Star Wars fans have theorized why Obi-Wan Kenobi was called Ben in A New Hope, and there are some interesting answers that haven't been mentioned based on the name itself. This is what I want to explore with you. I've broken this down in 4 parts based on the theories I'll be sharing with you, which are based on the name itself, and could answer the question as to why Obi-Wan sometimes went by the name Ben Kenobi. In the Clone Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi faked his death as part of a plan to stop Palpatine from being kidnapped. He then continued to operate under the alias Ben for the rest of the mission. Years later, when Obi-Wan took a baby Luke Skywalker to his aunt and uncle on Tatooine, he once again used the name Ben so he wouldn't be found by the Empire. There is actually a city called Tatooine in southern Tunisia, but why did he choose Ben? In the Star Wars Legends, which is no longer considered canon, specifically in the novel Kenobi, when Obi-Wan tries to communicate with his master Qui-Gon Jinn, who was killed by Darth Maul, he tells him about a local woman he met called Annalene Calwell, and he says, meeting her gave me a chance to finally use the name I chose, Ben. I had seen it on the map at the property office in Bestine. This shows a link between Tatooine, Ben Kenobi, and Tunisia. It was revealed that Duchess Satine Kryze used to call him Ben. Obi-Wan fell in love with her when he and Qui-Gon Jinn were assigned to protect her, and then he goes on to say, Satine used to call me that. It was a private thing. I like the sound of it. What he says to Qui-Gon implies that he doesn't know ultimately why he uses the name Ben, apart from using it with Satine, but perhaps somewhere deep down he knows why, and perhaps he learns somewhere down the line about his connection with the word, and why he uses it. And if you were wondering what the name of the beast, the Eopie that Obi-Wan Kenobi rides in the series, it's probably called Ruh, because in the same book, Obi-Wan tells the master he's trying to communicate with that he can't get there and back in a day on Ruh, and Ruh is an Arabic word for spirit or soul. If you follow the North African and Arabic lineage names and rules, then the theories and answers become more focused and much easier to determine. If we look at the name Ben Kenobi, in Arabic this means son of Kenobi, Ben meaning son. The spelling is particularly found in the North African countries such as Tunisia, which is where the original Star Wars: A New Hope was filmed. This could imply that Kenobi is actually the father's name of Obi-Wan, and that we don't actually know the last name of Obi-Wan. It would merely be Obi-Wan's middle name, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then his last name, which we don't know. And these types of rules are found in Arabic names and lineage. Your middle name can be your father's name. The nickname for Obi-Wan's father would be Abu Obi-Wan or Bu Obi-Wan, and his mother would be called Obi-Wan. So now that we've established that Kenobi could be Obi-Wan's father's name, there are other theories too, based on the name itself. Kenobi could be his surname, which would mean that Kenobi is his family name, and Ben Kenobi means son of Kenobi, his family. Which again means that Obi-Wan uses the name Ben to mean son, in the sense of being a son of his family or a son of his father. Another theory is that Kenobi could be a tribal name. Kenobi could be a tribe that Obi-Wan comes from, and Ben Kenobi would mean a son of that tribe. It could imply a name like Beni Kenobi or the people of Kenobi. Beni Kenobi in Arabic would mean sons of Kenobi or children of Kenobi. So it would mean that Ben Kenobi means the son of the Kenobi people or the Kenobi tribe, which could imply that Kenobi is actually a place and not merely a surname, or even more interestingly, a planet of its own. Beni Kenobi could also mean the House of Kenobi, similar to House Stark in Game of Thrones, or House Atreides in Dune, that kind of house. The word Ben or son in Arabic can also be spelled in different ways like Ibn or Bin, but spellings like Ben or Eben is used in North African countries. Years later, Leia Organa and Han Solo named their son Ben Solo, which also means son of Solo in Arabic. So the meaning is still valid and remains the same. This could even imply that we don't actually know the name of Ben Solo, and that it merely means son of Solo. Perhaps his real name is Kylo Ben Solo, or Kylo Solo. So perhaps Obi-Wan's full name is Obi-Wan Ben Kenobi. This is all still in keeping with George Lucas's way of being inspired by Tunisia itself for the Star Wars saga. The official StarWars.com encyclopedia says that Obi-Wan Kenobi's homeworld is called Stew-Jon, and this was a name that was coined by George Lucas when he was interviewed by talk show host Jon Stewart, who asked for the name of Obi-Wan Kenobi's home planet.
So we know pretty much where everybody's from except for Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan?
Yeah, where's he from? What's his home planet?
This is something that was one of the first things that I wrote in the very first script.
Really?
Yeah. And he comes from the planet Stew-Jon.
So Lucas jokingly replied Stew-Jon, and now it's become official. Even though Obi-Wan Kenobi's home planet is called Stew-Jon, it may not be true, it may just be a cover, or it may actually be true, and the Kenobi tribe, or the Kenobi family, comes from the planet Stew-Jon. There are so many ways you can play around with it, but I don't think the story of Obi-Wan's origins ends there. In the Kenobi series, Obi-Wan talks about the memories of his family.
The Jedi were taken from our families when we were very young. I still have glimpses. Flashes, really. My mother's shawl. My father's hands. I remember a baby.
A baby?
Yes, I think I had a brother. I really don't remember him. I wished I did.
In the original screenplay for The Return of the Jedi, Obi-Wan did have a brother and his name was Owen Lars. This was ultimately scrapped, but it found its way back in the Return of the Jedi novelization by James Caan, where it says, "Your mother and I knew Vader would find out eventually, but we wanted to keep you both as safe as possible for as long as possible, so I took you to live with my brother Owen on Tatooine." He could have just meant brother in the sense of a friendliness, or there could be something more there. Stew-Jon may be what Obi-Wan currently knows about his past, but it may not be the whole story. In fact, it may have only been the last location Obi-Wan and his family were at before Obi-Wan was taken to be trained as a Jedi. A new theory born out of the Kenobi series on Disney Plus could be that Obi-Wan calls himself Ben Kenobi after his brother, whose name he doesn't know, because his brother would simply be called a son of Kenobi, or Ben Kenobi, based on the Arabic rule, and in honouring that faint yet fond memory of his past, uses the name Ben Kenobi in memory of his long-lost brother. I feel that these theories could hold weight, but are particularly important in honouring a piece of Star Wars history and the origins of Star Wars itself. The desert planet Tatooine started in the North African country of Tunisia. That's where the magic happened, and the legacy of Star Wars and its stories should not forget that. It's a fascinating idea which deserves exploration in this way, particularly as the Star Wars canon is ever expanding. I'd love to write a story based on these ideas, but what do you think about Obi-Wan's origins? Does this new information give you other theories? Let me know in the comments below. If you want more videos like this, look out for my piece on Tatooine and check out some of my other videos here.